Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent. Hey guys, communication with other people is important. But have you ever stopped to consider how you communicate with yourself? Right? This is super critical, and I think it's often a thing that gets very easily overlooked because you're so used to talking to ourselves, right? It's a normal thing to ponder, or as you think, listen to the voice in your head, right? And we've been doing this since we were little. So I wanted to go through this with you guys today. I think it's useful to consider how we talk to ourselves, and the pros and cons of the way we talk to ourselves. So my name is Wade Vincent, and you are here with me on another episode of the Forever Better Academy podcast. Thank you for joining me. And I guess as I say, we all have this, right? We all talk to ourselves. As far as I'm aware, we all have those moments of introspect and self-talk and discussions. And I know there's instances when I feel like I'm doing well and I'll prop myself up. And there's other times when I'm very hard on myself and probably put unnecessary pressure on myself to achieve. And I don't often talk, respectfully or well to myself. And often I believe that, it's served me well, or sometimes I have not responded well, but let's say it pushes me sometimes to tell myself, to get it together and things like that. Right now, there's it depends on how you respond and the outcomes that come from the way that you talk to yourself, right? So if you're the kind of person who says, get it together, pick yourself up, you can do better than this, and there's an element of self-challenging, but it's still not negative talk. There's value if it inspires you to rise to the occasion, right? Now, if you're talking to yourself and the talk sounds more like, I'm such an idiot, I should have known better, why did I do that, I can't believe I'm not good enough to do this. That's when this self-talk and how you communicate with yourself is detrimental and doesn't benefit you. So I want to go through this and really talk to the differences in the way that we can communicate with ourselves, and also the subtle differences in the language and the wording that we use, and the impact that it can make with small shifts and tweaks in the way that we communicate with ourselves. So I think all of us absolutely inherently have a desire, right, to reinforce our own capabilities, and positive self-talk does that. Whereas when we start talking and shifting from let's say negative talk on our on actions that we've taken, and we shift it to negative talk about ourselves and our own capabilities, that's when it really starts to diminish our own capabilities. And that's where it's important, I think, to draw that line and ensure that that's where it stops, right? We're not talking badly about ourselves, okay? So as I say, I think we all have that ambition to want to empower ourselves, right? We all have something we're chasing, and a desire or a goal or something that we're looking to achieve. And the type of talk that we have with ourselves is very powerful. So there are many people. If you are older than 5 years old and you have been in some sort of capacity interacting with other human beings right from when we're very little, even down to that kindergarten, preschool age, prep, you're going to experience people that don't agree with you, don't like you, don't like what you do, and for no other reason want to talk poorly of you or talk poorly about you. It's the nature of us as creatures. It's just who we are and what we do, right? It's not good or bad. It just is what it is, and we have to learn to navigate through that, right? So all of us, I think, have had that experience and are familiar with people in the world that want to talk down to you. Right now, the crucial thing that's super important here is not to mimic their behaviors and the way that others speak about you, right? It's very easy for us to let that rub off on us, right? Like when someone, when somebody says something to you, right, and you hear it once, and you're like, whatever. Like someone doesn't like you or doesn't like something about you, and it's one person, you don't really care, and you let it just, brush off. Don't worry about it. But it does become challenging when you start hearing multiple people say those kind of horrible or mean things about you. It becomes harder and harder to let it brush off, right? Because we are creatures that are designed by nature to take our experiences and those interactions and learn how to interpret them to navigate through our environment effectively. So our brain power is designed for us to basically, because it's finite, right? Our each day, we only have so much energy and capacity to use, right? And if we had to rethink every decision every time we have any interaction whatsoever, we'd never do anything else, right? So we've become better over time at almost putting our minds on autopilot with certain decisions and ways we process information that we receive on a daily basis. So in this instance, if we start to hear multiple people saying the same kind of negative things about us, unfortunately, at times it's easy for it to rub off on us and us to start believing those things that we're hearing from others, right? Now, there's times absolutely when there's benefit in listening and learning from the feedback that we're receiving, right? And if it's genuine feedback on something like, say we're continually making foolish decisions where we're suffering consequences or our family's suffering because of something that we're doing, right? It's valid to listen to feedback from loved ones and friends and family that helps you improve and change habits that aren't serving you well, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when people are just outright disrespectful or hurtful or poor, treat you poorly because of experiences they've had, or they're projecting their own feelings onto you. These are the times that it's crucial that you still need to know how to differentiate between the two and not take on the voices that you're hearing from others and those their opinions and impressions of you, and letting that or allowing that to become your own negative self-talk, right? So, for example, many of you who've listened to the podcast previously or know anything about me know of my history as a rapper and a b-boy breakdancer, and that was like a good 15 years of my life. I was just immersed in hip hop culture, and that's all I did, right? And I imagine it would be, this is like, early or even prior to those Eminem days, right? And it would have been worse, I think, in the States, but especially here, right? The culture in Australia, when I was a little kid, there was a lot of pride in the Australian sort of culture and our way of life, right? And I can recall times when I was little and older family members and uncles and relatives used to get disheartened when they'd see us mimicking and copying American traits and slang and terminology and way of life. And this is, pre-internet, before the world was as global as it is. And I think for my elders, they were very disheartened seeing younger generations trying to be something else, right? Now, influence comes from all over the world. You latch on to whatever appeals to you. There's something that speaks to you. It doesn't matter where you're born in the world. You hear a certain type of music, or you see a certain type of art, or a style of dance, whatever it may be. If it speaks to you, it speaks to you. That's what it is, right? That's what it is. We're all humans. It doesn't matter where you're born. There's commonalities that speak to us in different ways, no matter who we are and where we're from. And I remember, right, our the older generations being, frustrated, I guess, would be, one of the words I'd use around us losing our cultural identity, right? So when you're a rapper walking around in Australia doing gigs and doing shows, there was many times where I got like, you're just some wigger, like, oh, you want to be black, like just ridiculous, like foolish comments, or like it's random people you'd walk past in the street after a show, right? And obviously, like at the time it was baggy clothes, and I had dreadlocks and, tattoos all over my arms, and I had people who'd walk past you in the street and start trouble with you and just, want to fight you or call you names. That, like, I'd be walking, like I remember just walking and getting like shoved, and have guys like try to rush you, and this whole typical sporting jock dudes, right, thinking that you're some little homie, and or if, like, I cop grief for wearing a hat backwards, like stupid stuff, right? Like and I didn't let that deter me, right? Like I knew who I was, and my self-talk around what inspired me or motivated me was positive, right? I had a purpose, I had a mission behind what I was doing. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and I knew that, that was going to come with, people that saw it differently and disagree with me, and I had to just keep forging on and not let their opinions or impressions of me become my own impression of myself, right? So even times like, my friends and I were at a nightclub one time. This while I think of this story, just because it's ridiculous to me, right? Like when we were performing as breakdancers, b-boys, right, and we do a lot of shows all around the place, and we were at this nightclub, and we were trying to talk to these girls, my friend James and I, and I remember just like, nothing, no like corny pickup lines or whatever, but just going to talk to these girls, and there was like no interest. They just didn't care less. They were like, and it wasn't like, brush off. It was like super rude, impolite, like looked down on us, like because of how our appearance was, and just like we were less than them, right? And then half an hour later, we were doing the show and we were performing. And after we'd finished, those same girls came over to us and were like all over us. Like, oh my God, like that was so amazing. I didn't know you could dance, blah, 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 blah. And I remember my friend James and I, it was like this sort of sweetest victory. We were just like, see you later. Like, we're not interested in you. Like the fact that someone can have this impression of you, or think so little of you when they don't know anything about you, right? And as soon as they see something that can be gained from you, or they feel better about themselves from something that you've done, then suddenly they're interested in you, right? Like it's crazy. People do strange things, right? But ultimately the lesson is, I didn't let other people's opinions of me color who I was. Right, and this is a challenging thing to do, right? Now, it's one thing to not care what other people think of you, and I think this is something that only really comes with age and time and experience, and the wisdom to truly not care anymore, because you realize how precious our time is, and how much better things we have to do and think about, and you just don't have capacity to entertain someone's opinion of you. It comes to this point. I remember, like, thinking I didn't care what people thought, but then the difference when I truly didn't care anymore is it's very freeing. And absolutely, an extension of that, as I say, this is the important part, is how you talk to yourself. Well, I could have absolutely gone home that night and been like, man, I'm only valuable, or girls only like me because I can dance, or man, I wish I was better looking, or I knew how to talk smoother, or I could make girls laugh. I've really got nothing going for me. Imagine if that was my self-talk, the energy that I'd be putting into my universe. And then when I go out into the world and project, what kind of energy am I putting out to the world? Right? Like, you cannot take on other people's opinions of you and let it become your own self-talk, right? So, and as I say, it's critical, because you're going to experience that in the world. There's people that are going to say things about you. You could be, like, I've said this in previous episodes, like, I'm sure there's people who talk garbage about people like Mother Teresa and Gandhi. I'm sure there's someone out there that hates Tony Robbins with a passion and thinks he's a horrible human being, right? It's crazy. But those people have a mission and a purpose and a sense of who they are, and they reinforce and enhance their vision of themselves by continually reaffirming who they are and talking positively to themselves. Right? We get to decide who we are. We get to shape who we are. Our actions, our traits, our behaviors have to align with who we believe we are and who we say we are, in order to become those people and be a well-rounded individual. Now, if you have so many people that you're going to come across in your life that are prepared to, or willing to, or quite comfortable in talking poorly about you, the last thing you need to do is remove that barrier, that protective force field of your own self-talk and positivity, and let it in, and then you talk that way about yourself. That's like your last line of defense, last and first line, right? If you can talk positively and well with yourself and empower yourself, no one can touch you. No one's opinion matters but your own, right? Now, and why would you let someone else's opinion of you be your own opinion of you? Who knows you better than yourself, right? I don't know any one of you guys better than you know yourselves. Even if I think highly of someone, maybe it's not worth listening to me think highly of them either, because it's ultimately their decision on who they want to be and how they think of themselves that drives them, right? You often hear people talk about this. People in the public domain, or influencers that have clout online, often say, they don't listen to the negativity, but they also don't listen to the positivity, and you can't take in, you can't pick and choose what you want, right? Like, you have to just sort of, come at it on a level playing field and give yourself what you need, right? It's all in here. You have the capability to make yourself empowered, and how you talk to yourself is the foundation of that, right? So it's more important how you talk to yourself than anyone else, for that very reason, right? Your words are going to have a greater impact on you than the words of others, right? If you start, look at anyone who's achieved anything incredible in life, right? Like, you take like let's say a Muhammad Ali. How many videos have you seen, even if you weren't alive in the same time as Ali? How many of you have seen a video and believe that man is the greatest fighter of all time? Right? He did. Do you think Ali cared if anyone thought he was the greatest? Did he become the greatest because of what others thought of him, or because of what he thought of himself? Right? Ali wasn't in front of the cameras, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. And then at home, yeah, man, yeah, I'm really like concerned because all these people that watch my interview don't believe in me. And I'm not saying it's easy, right? This is a skill like anything else, right? All of these traits, these tools, these techniques and principles that I share with you require effort. They require you to develop these skills, to build upon them, to make them a habit, to strengthen them. They take time, they take work, right? It's simple, but it's not easy, right? Now, the key, I think, and off the back of talking about someone like Muhammad Ali, is I must see myself in a positive light before others can. I must believe I'm the greatest before others can. It doesn't go the other way around, because then you're outsourcing who you are to other people's opinions of you. Right? Now, you see this, the media will tell someone they're the best thing since sliced bread, they're the greatest, right? And 10 minutes later, there'll be someone else shitting on that same person. Now, if you believe what others say about you, you're going to lead such a chaotic existence and not know who you are. You cannot outsource your identity to the opinions of other people, right? Like if you buy the hype, right? To use some like hip hop slang, if you believe your own hype, it's fleeting. It's very short lived, right? They took about 15 minutes of fame. Do you think that someone like, let's say, who's a good example? Someone maybe older, like, okay, let's say like a band like the Eagles, right? You could argue that they're one of the greatest rock bands of all time, one of the greatest bands of all time. They are most certainly not in their prime anymore. There are naturally people that will still think they're the greatest, and music that's like that is timeless, and their record sales may be diminished, and they may not even be charting at all anymore. But does it take away from who they know they are? No. Their value and their worth isn't diminished because their 15 minutes of fame or their peak height of stardom is over. Right? You can't let other people's opinions, as I keep saying, they can't let other people's opinions and interpretations of you and the way they speak of you become your own interpretation of self, right? And you've got to believe in it, because you're the foundation for who you are. One of the scariest, as I've said this previously too, one of the scariest and most empowering things you will ever realize is that you are entirely and solely responsible for the own outcomes of your life. Right? That's like, I don't know about you, but like, this scares the shit out of me. Like, no one else is responsible. If I fail, it's on me. If I succeed, it's on me. I don't have a choice. I know what I want to do. Right? Like, that's, you got to bring it down. It's not trite when people say everything that you need is within you. It absolutely is, and it doesn't exist anywhere else. Right? Especially like we're talking long-term success, long-term belief and positivity about who you are and what you're capable of has to come from you. Now, I know this is hard because there's many of us that grow up in horribly challenging and negative environments, right? How many of us have grown up with a parent that on a daily basis tell us that we're not good enough, right? That's hard to break that pattern, right? Every single day, being told you're not good enough, being told you're not enough by people that are supposedly the ones that love you the most. Right? That's one of the greatest challenges to not believe that. I'm not saying it's easy, but I know that if you take ownership and realize that your opinion of you matters more than anyone else's opinion of you. How you talk to yourself is far more important than how anyone else talks to you or about you. right? And you've got to start with the smallest little steps, right? If you feel that you're not good enough and you don't believe in your ability or who you are or that you're worth anything, right? I'm here to tell you, you absolutely are. Don't let anyone take that away from you, okay? Start small. You start with the tiniest little things. Reaffirm the positive things. Find one thing that you like about yourself. No matter how bad you feel about who you are or how you've been misled to believe that you're not good enough. Find one thing. Every one of us has at least one thing we like about ourselves. And tell yourself every day. Something as simple as, it might be like, I like my hair. I have great hair. My hair makes me feel good about myself, right? The way it shines in the light. When I brush it, I feel good. I feel empowered. I feel like I'm worth something. Tell yourself every day, look in the mirror. This is where affirmations are important, right? You have to build upon the positive energy, right? When people are bombarding you with negativity, you have to block that out, right? Shut those channels away, remove it from your life, and start putting that positive energy, the good vibrations into your world, right? Tell yourself every day, okay? Reaffirm those positive things you see and believe about yourself, right? And you build on that foundation, right? Compounding works everywhere, and here is no different. Start with that small one single thing that you believe and it empowers you and you feel good about. And then when you keep repeating that, you believe and you know it and no one can take that from you. Build on that. Put a second thing, right? It might be something as simple as, I'm punctual. I show up to work on time. I'm reliable. I'm dependable. I can be where I need to be at the time I need to be there. And no one can take that from me. Right? Start with that. Build upon that. And the more and more that you communicate in that positive manner with you, you'll start to find more things you like about yourself. And when you find more, it's easier to build, right? It's like when you build a brick wall, right? You can't build a brick wall with one brick. But over time, as you add more bricks to the wall, what happens? The wall becomes stronger, the wall is greater, the wall is more powerful, the wall can help keep out the things that you don't want to come in, right? But it all starts with how you talk to yourself. This is foundation for any of your success. You're defeated before you already start if you can't talk positively about yourself, right? How can you expect to be the best version of yourself or successful or good with money or good with your family or a loving partner or a good sibling, a good child, a good parent? You've got to start with that single brick, right? That one thing. Build upon it, build upon it, build upon it till it's so refined and reinforced that nothing can break through it. And as I say, it all starts with that talk. Right? You've got to talk positively to yourself, and I know this challenge, as I say, we're creatures that are influenced by our environment. I don't believe that we can, nor should we turn that off. We're always going to have influence because it's part of our how we're wired biologically, right? To survive in this environment, we have to have those tools, but we have to know when they need to be used and how to use them to our advantage in the way that serves us well, right? Now, when you talk positively and lovingly, this is important, right? And I remember I used to tell people, man, I love myself, and they used to laugh at me and think like I'm crazy, like that I was, full of myself. But if I can't love myself first, how can anyone else love me, and how can I love others? Right? It's got to start here. Everything, the internal work that is done, that you do, we all do, is what allows us to go out into the world and be successful and have something to give and offer to the world. There's nothing wrong. It's not selfish to do the work on yourself. It's a must. Right? For us to be the most effective we can be and bring the most value to our community and our society as a whole, we have to be full. We have to give ourselves everything we need in order to have enough to share, right? You know, when they talk about your cup runneth over. If you don't have love in your heart or love for yourself, you've got none to give to others. You've got to fill your own cup first, right? And when you do this, right, you will become whoever you tell yourself that you are. If you talk bad about yourself and believe these things and reaffirm the negative things that others have told you, that's who you're going to be. If you tell yourself every day, you know, I am great, I am powerful, I am strong, I am capable, I can be whoever I want to be, and anything anyone else in the world can do and is capable of, I am too. How different is that conversation when you tell yourself that? And look in the mirror. Right? Look in your own eyes. You know, get it in there. Get it down in deep into your soul, into your psyche, into who you are. Right? And it's not even recreating, it's remembering who you are. Right? We're all born with so much infinite power and goodness. I swear that we start like that. We don't start with hate and bitterness and bigotry and negativity. And we don't have that in us. That's not the kind of creature we are, right? We're like emotional thermometers, right? Like we're beacons when we're blessed and full of love. Like we emit it. It oozes from us, right? Have you ever seen someone who's super confident and walks into a room and everyone turns around? That person's done a lot of work on themselves. I guarantee it. Right? We have all of that. Every single one of us, all of you watching and listening to this, all of us have this. No one is less capable. We just start in different spots and some have to do more work than others. That's all there is to it. Right? So please speak kindly to yourself. I want you to take that away from this today. Take that one thing. If you're struggling with this and you're really having difficulty with talking positively to yourself, start and find that one thing that you like about yourself and repeat it over and over every day. Start with that little seed, plant that seed and watch it grow. Okay? Who could you become? That's what it's all about. If you're listening to this, you already have the right mindset. You just got to work on it. You're here because the universe wants you to hear this. You're here because you brought this energy, this message to yourself because you're looking for it. Right? All right, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I wish you well, and I want the best for you, right? A rising tide lifts all ships. We get better together. Forever better, right? All right, guys, thank you so much. And if you have any questions or comments for me, please reach out to me. You know, I'm on all the social channels at I'm Wade Vincent. You can find it on foreverbetteracademy.com. Shoot me a message, shoot me an email, and I will do my best to support you guys and help you with the things you need on your journey. All right, guys, I appreciate you, and I will talk to you again next Friday. All right? Stay safe.